Welcome back to Spy Colony. We just had an exciting weekend. The 3K Sacred Torch, 83
Coming
players.
Off of a previous exciting week.
With the Dress Crew Regional.
Yeah, we didn't even have an episode about that.
We cubed the night before.
This was a waste of everyone's life.
Sacred Torch took down the Team Draft Cube against Dress Crew, and also took down the Sacred Torch Showdown as Dave Kaplan won. An interesting question is, do you consider the Sacred Torch rivalry like Sacred Torch versus Dress Crew, or do you consider it New York City versus Massachusetts? Because a few interesting questions have come up, which is just that, like, who's in the Sacred Torch crew? Like, everyone in New York and some people in New Jersey are in Sacred Torch.
I mean,
but
who identifies as being in the Order of the Sacred Torch?
I mean, effectively everyone who is like in the Discord, in the meetup, or just resides in like the
I don't know. Like, I barely feel like I'm in the Order of the Sacred Torch, and I'm probably thought of as being like a core member of the Order of the Sacred Torch.
Oh, you're definitely in Sacred Torch.
I'm a core member of the Order, right? But I don't feel like a member of the
What would it take for you to feel like a Sacred Torch member? I feel like I'm a Sacred Torch member.
I have sleeves that say Order of the Sacred Torch that were custom built for me. And
So what would it take? What would it take for you to feel like you are part of the crew? Do you need a playmat and track jacket?
No. I feel like I am friends with Andy Levine. I'm very close friends with like Andy Levine and David Tao and Stephen Wyatt Bush. Like, we hang out in each other's homes, you know, like that is on a parallel track to the, I mean, I guess we all live in, you know, like D-Tao said to me, hey, at least it stayed in New York. Sorry, we couldn't keep it in Brooklyn. Right. Like that's what he said to me. So there's almost like a sub rivalry. Because if you look at it, like SWB, D-Tao, and Andy Levine all live within 20 minutes walk of each other. Right? Like, that's a different rivalry from Kaplan, who lives in Queens. Although Kaplan owns an apartment that is it's like 10 minutes walk from my house. He's also a landlord.
So I'll repeat the question. What about this makes you not feel like you're part of the crew?
I'm not a joiner, man. Like, these are just like my, I mean, I guess like I'm in the Order of the Sacred Torch because I love Phil, and Phil, I think of as like the godfather of the Order of the Sacred Torch. What's
the difference between you and me? I feel like I'm part of the Order of the Sacred Torch. What makes you feel like you're not?
You're just a joiner. Like, I'm not a joiner. Like, I'm like, you know, Batman, he's just like, I guess I'll pay for this watchtower, but don't expect me to come to your Justice League meetings, right? Like, he comes to the meetings.
Yeah, I guess I would say it, I guess it doesn't matter very much until you start putting up results, because you're not really contributing to our side of the rivalry.
Yeah. But I foolishly tried to play a PTQ at the same. I should not have. When we went to Andy's house the night before, I got tricked by you into playing this deck that I couldn't play perfectly, and then I didn't got no sleep. That was you know, who knows? I can't complain. This top 8 was fantastic. You know, I wasn't in it, neither were you, but you know, the rest of the top 8 was really, it was nice. We had the, what are the Connecticut guys called?
They are the Tolarian PTA.
Yeah, okay. Let's look at Matt P. Is Matt P Tolarian PTA, or is he Order of the Sacred Torch?
He officially is Tolarian PTA because he is closer, and well, because he just resides in Connecticut, I believe. He
wears a Tolarian PTA.
Yeah, he wears the regalia.
And he runs Order of the Sacred Torch events. He runs like 50% of the Order of the Sacred Torch events.
Matt P?
Matt P. And he shows up at League every week.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't run 50% of the events because now there is a ratio of 4-to-1. If 4-to-1, but it's closer to 8-to-1. And then if you include large events,
Matt P has run a lot of Order of the Sacred Torch events.
Yeah, no doubt, but
including the most recent monthly meetup.
He takes the train in with the PTA guys. He wears their regalia. I think he can just be a dual citizen, which is totally okay.
Is Andy Levine a dual citizen? He like lost in the top 4 because he was cosplaying as a member of DXC.
I think that for the day, Andy was counting as a dual citizen because the 74 cards in his deck box belonged to Duress Crew, in addition to the track jacket. But he got his own hat. He got the same hat that Billy wears. So Andy's,
saw it on the internet.
There were only two things of Andy's that he possessed were his top 8 Wasteland from the 2024 LobsterCon and the hat that he purchased himself. But the deck box, deck, and sleeves, or the sleeves to my knowledge, were indeed Duress Crew Billy's deck and sleeves. And Billy, of course, took on Andy's mantle for the night, playing Andy's mono blue Tide cards, and got basically the inverse results as Andy, because Andy Levine is the best Terragon player, period. Like, he's like so good. He's so good at the Terragon deck, and it doesn't make any sense because there's nothing about the deck that is related to Future Sight, Lodestone Bauble combo, mono blue Tide control.
This is just like
contamination.
I think Andy Levine is probably the most skilled member of the Order of the Sacred Torch. Like, having watched everybody play, I think he is probably the most skilled Magic the Gathering player, and he just chooses not to play Dreadnought every week. Like, I feel like Andy Levine's results are largely hamstrung by his joy at playing Tide with no win conditions, or trying to deck people with Lodestone Bauble, and he's never actually trying to win. Like, he comes and he's like, I'm just here for the vibes. I'm cosplaying today. Loses to Mike Packer in the first round, and then makes a run for top 4, beating Mike Packer in the top 8. Right? Like, he's just super good at Magic.
Yeah, it's one of those classic, like, if he tried, it's just over for everyone else.
Like,
we're just lucky he's not trying.
I just, like, when I played with him in the Trios tournament, like, he was like semi-trying. He wasn't even trying that hard. He just never lost. He like made up a new deck, beat everyone all day.
Yeah, his one mistake on the day was having a Mox Diamond get blown up or something.
No, he definitely made a mistake in the finals.
Okay, well we'll hear about that.
We don't have to dwell on it.
We'll see it. We'll see it on coverage.
If he plays the opposite land, he wins for sure.
If you're listening, right? It's like he pitched whatever. If you're listening to this on Friday night somehow, or early morning on Saturday, we're gonna live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday the 26th. So you have like a 12-hour window to listen to this podcast and catch that live stream, which Andy and SWB will be joining us for. And it'll be exciting.
I didn't even realize this. Top 16, Simon with my Stompy deck in 16th place, did way better than me, right? So the night before, he was going to play his broccoli soup deck, and I'm like, why would you possibly play this awful deck? Stompy does the exact same thing. And it's just better. I didn't realize he finished so high. So Simon 16th. Osip Levidovich playing my physical Replenish deck in 15th place. Ryan Marvin, avid listener, 14th place with Stifle Knot. Lanny Huang in 13th place. But that was a 1-2 to a 5-2, right?
That was a 2-2 to 5-2,
a 2-2,
yeah.
a 5-2, a 5-2.
I had the worst breakers of the X and 2s.
I don't know Adam Najman.
Well, I will add that your intuitions are in the Replenish deck I played, of course.
Oh wow! Like, so my cards are just like stacking.
Yeah, your cards are doing great. You just need them to bring you with them.
16, 15, and 13 are all my cards. Right? So I don't know Adam Najman, but I can't wait to learn about Psychotalk. Adam Sitsis, perennial performer. Adam Sitsis with
former runner-up at the previous Sacred Torch Showdown.
Chris Cruz. Ponza Oath at 10th. Ashok Chituri
on the bubble.
On the bubble at 9th.
X1 and 1.
Control. And then look at this top 8. Mike Packer, who just came off of top 8ing LobsterCon, am I right? I lost him in the side event at LobsterCon 2 years ago with Parallax Replenish. Stephen Wyatt Bush with Enchantress in 7th, of course. Christopher Baviello of the Tolarian PTA.
AKA the other Chris.
In 6th. Andy Vollmer in 5th with Landstill. Andy Vollmer won a 1K with Landstill last year. I think split with Land in the finals. David Tao, Terrageddon. Andy Levine, Terrageddon. Brad Stone with Oath in 2nd, and Dave Kaplan.
That of course is the Quiet Speculation Oath.
I think we should just talk about that deck. That deck is the hotness. It is the absolute hotness.
Let's get our Stifle Nut talk out of the way. That'll be an appetizer. Dave Kaplan with
Do we have to? Nobody knows what's in Kaplan's deck, and so they're all sideboarding wrong. I think we could do Kaplan the favor of not
talking about it. All right, he could have any.
Seriously, just don't talk about Kaplan's deck. If you're interested, look it up. The number of people who came up to me asking me questions about Kaplan over the day and just sideboarding their anti parallax
redacted hate. Yeah,
right. Like not getting decked out by Brain Freeze. I mean, I saw him lock down many a Treetop Village and Rishadon Port with Sabo's Web. Let's just not talk about Kaplan's deck. I think that would be more hilarious.
All right. Oath Spec. This is a deck that was invented by Ian Adams from the Massachusetts area. I do not know if Ian counts as Duress Crew. I don't think he does. He doesn't have the tag. He doesn't wear the jacket. He doesn't have the playmat. But he is a former Massachusetts Quarterly winner. And I believe he top forward with this deck to put it onto the scene at a recent monthly event. And Brad picked up the deck after a reasonable showing at the last Quarterly, where he played throwback to original green-white Oath Plush, which was the Cataclysm Sphere of Resistance deck that had, it was basically the side cursor to the Oath Ponza deck. The Oath Ponza deck and the Oath Plush deck existed in tandem. It was mono green Oath Ponza and
the
green white Oath
Friday
Plush.
is God deck, really.
It's a TV Tyrant deck.
Thursday is God, sorry.
TV Tyrant being the progenitor of Monothermo Karsts into Oath of Druid, Sphere of Resistance, Port Wasteland, Mishra's Factory, Treetop Village. So this deck, rattling it off.
Wait,
5 creatures.
Before you rattle it off, let's acknowledge that 2 weeks ago at the Duress Crew event that we just didn't have an episode last week because we were too busy hanging out at Andy Levine's house and then playing in Sacred Torch ourselves. Brian Selden, former world champion, 2 times LobsterCon champion, played a very similar deck to
right to third place finish.
Yeah, to the top 8 in their event, precursoring this. And I gotta say, the one quote of the weekend I'd have to say is in the round of 8, Brad is playing against SWB, and I'm so surprised that Nick Mayo and the rest of the Duress Crew are not birding the match, right? So I'm birding, I think, D-Tow's match over on the other side of the room, and I'm like, how are you guys not birding Brad's match with SWB? And Nick looks up to me, he's just like, have you ever seen this matchup? If Brad doesn't 2-0 him, he can get his own ride home. It's like, there's nothing to watch, right?
You could watch Argothian Enchantresses getting volcanic sprayed multiple times. You could watch Enchantress's presence getting Ray of Revelation multiple times. Before
Lanny rattles off this deck, I will say that this deck to me is like just a wonderful work of genius. I think that it is probably the most important and going to be the most influential deck that we've seen in the format in quite some time. I think back to one of the Sam Black episodes when Sam was talking about his version of Enchantress and losing to like the Tireless Tribe deck, and he's like, look, that deck is just tailor-made to beat my Enchantress deck. They've got Ray of Revelation, they've got Volcanic Spray. And the one thing that I took away from that is like, wow, no one will ever play Tireless Tribe again, because why would you? Why would you when you could play this deck?
Yeah, I would definitely say that Oath of Druids packs a little bit more punch than Tireless Tribe. But lots of interesting stuff here, because this deck is a few concepts that are smushed together. But anyways, the list: 4 Terravore and 1 Exalted Angel, being the Oath package. 4 Swords of Plowshares, of course. 1 Naturalize, 1 Ray of Revelation, 3 Call the Herd, 3 Cataclysm, 2 Quiet Speculation, 1 Deep Analysis, 1 Volcanic Spray, 4 Sylvan Library, 4 Oath of Druids, 4 Mox, 4 Windswept Heath, 4 Treetop Village, 4 Wasteland, 3 Rishadan Port, 3 Gemstone Mine, 2 Treva's Ruins, 2 Dark Ways, 2 Plains, 2 Forests, 1 City of Brass in the sideboard, 4 Meddling Mage, 2 Carpet of Flowers, 2 Aura of Silence, 1 Zurin Orb, 1 Volcanic Spray, 1 Sphere of Law, 1 Ray of Revelation, 1 Naturalize, 1 Crows and Reclamation, 1 Call of the Herd. The things that immediately jumped out at me were the 1 Exalted Angel, of course, being a potential. You never want to oath into it.
Never ever.
The 2 Quiet Speculation. It's called Oath Spec, but really it's just kind of like still just a mid-ranged Oath of Druids deck.
Sheldon played 3 Quiet
that has like a little but that's the thing about Quiet Speculation, where we have only 6 cards with flashback in the deck, right? So if you draw one of them, your Quiet Specs start to get worse a lot quicker. They're better.
Like there's no Roar of the Worm in this deck. Roar of the Worm is
I mean,
kind of stainsy.
Yeah, I'm glad that Roar of the Worm sees the day and Reckless Charge are not making an appearance
Reckless
here.
Reckless Charge is super gas. You could just flip that shit over with your Terravore and kill them.
Yeah, I see the vision, but the cross section of matches where that matters has to be like, you know, your opponent banking on, like, your opponent playing towards like a 2-turn lethal, right? Because the fact of the matter is, in any matchup containing Oath of Druids should never trigger. Like, it's just like there's like a saying in EDH that if Rhystic Study was just Sphere of Resistance, but only for your opponents, it would be a better card. But like the fact that people play into it and don't pay the 1, like gives you so many more wins. The same goes here. Like Oath of Druids is just a box with the stick propping it up for bad players or players who happen to already have a Birds of Paradise or a Llanowar Elf in play.
I can tell you, I went 2-1 in League this week. I was playing against Jeff Ferris. He won the roll. I mulliganed. I looked at my hand and I'm like, I know how this is gonna go. But I'm priced in. I have a 6-card hand that has 3 creatures in it, right? So I'm like, first turn Jackal Pup, and he's like Treetop Village. I'm like, first turn Jackal Pup. I'm like, just show it to me. Just Oath. I'm like, I lose on the spot, win game 2, and then game 3, I'm winning in air quotes, and I'm like, just don't hardcast Terravore this turn. I'm like, if you don't hardcast Terravore this turn, I've got it. Hardcast Terravore, which is bullshit. Terravore is a bullshit card. Oath of Druids is a bullshit card.
Oath of Druids is a bullshit card. Terravore is fine. Terravore has done no harm.
Cast Terravore.
You can only Oath of Druids it out. I think it should be the other way around. You should not be allowed to cast Oath of Druids.
Yeah.
And then you can cast Terravore all that you want.
I'm telling you, if he had Oath of Druids there, I would have been fine. I'm like, just don't cast Terravore. The problem is he has a Zurin Orb, right? But I have his Sulfuric Vortex to counter it. But the fucking Zurin Orb is going to make his Terravore into a 2-turn clock, right? So it was the worst. It was the worst, Lanny. You shouldn't be able to cast Terravore.
Anyways, just 2 Quiet Spec. Cataclysm here taking place of any number of Armageddon. In Selden's version, he had 2 Armageddon and 1 Cataclysm. So we're all in on Cataclysm in Brad's version, which I think is good for that added redundancy of like, oh, I have Oath of Druids, but if they're going wide, if they disenchant Oath of Druids and then go wide on me, then I'm still going to be in trouble. So that's where Cataclysm comes into play. It deals with like enough lands.
In situations where like you Cataclysm against goblins or elves, like sometimes they go so wide that, you know, a Terravore is just a guy with power and time.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. I like Cataclysm.
Yeah, and then importantly, Armageddon no longer doing the trick against Enchantress. An Enchantress deck with a 7-card hand and a bunch of Enchantresses in play can take an Armageddon on the chin, play 3 lands with their explorations. One of them is a Serra Sanctum, and just continue on with their day. So Cataclysm basically being a huge adaptation here. On the flip side, the 2 Carpet of Flowers, I think, are a little out of place in my opinion. I think that if your opponent is playing a mono blue Tide or a Tide Dreadnought situation, your Carpet of Flowers not being a card you can cast when you have like no other way to draw cards besides Quiet Speculation and Sylvan Library means that you'll be discarding a card to like make a bunch of mana, but like you're not going to do anything with the mana anyways.
I mean, the card is a direct counter to Parallax Tide, right? Like, I don't think that that's a fair assessment. Like, your opponent can basically unconditionally just, like, this is a deck with 27 land. They could just like get you like 4 times and you can't operate. But if you have Carpet of Flowers in play, you can operate. Like, that's the conceit here.
Yeah, I don't like disagree with that line of thinking, but I think that if over time you played this deck and try to put yourself in a position where Carpet of Flowers makes the difference, right? Because all of your mana sinks, Treetop Village, Richmond Port, are lands, right? Like you're using Carpet of Flowers to what? Like flashback Call the Herd later? Like,
well, no, it's a bunch of different things. It also depends on what cards you've drawn, right? And like what the disposition of your other permanents are. But you could, I don't know, make blue mana and cast Quiet Speculation and Deep Analysis.
I think my counterpoint to that is that you should be worried that when you're taking, like, lest we forget that this is still a 31 mana source deck, right? So this deck still has quite a bit of air. Like it doesn't have Sphere of Resistance, Weathered Wayfarer type air, but it still has 4 Mox Diamond, 27 lands. So just imagine instead of Carpet of Flowers, 2 copies of Carpet of Flowers, you just play an Annul and a Pyroblast. That's all I'm saying.
So I think Carpet of Flowers is great because you can just cast it on turn 2 instead of having to leave up an Annul and a Pyroblast, which may or may not be something you can do. But here's my thought on this deck and why I find it to be so exciting. And just preemptively, I know that you're right. The Sphere of Resistance Thermokarst type decks are probably better against direct combo than what I'm going to say. But, you know, I was always critical of like the oldest school, you know, it's not the oldest school, right? Oldest school post land tax ban, green-white Oath Peluche sort of 4 Cataclysm deck. Like, I thought that deck was just actively bad, always did, because it just had no plan, right? Like, its only plan was your opponent plays into your cards.
We really don't have to talk too much about that deck because it hasn't been in the meta for 2 years.
But there's a reason that it hasn't been in the meta for 2 years, right? It was replaced by they were parallel paths, right? But the mono green version sort of developed at the same time in parallel path, and then they were both replaced by the red green version, right? But the red green version is just philosophically the mono green version with, you know,
Pyroclasm, yeah,
better
and Pyroblast,
yeah, right. So, which is fine, and that was obviously a deck that has persisted for 2-3 years now. Put up a lot of finishes. All 3 decks actually have put up some finishes, but you know, the red green version is the most persistent. I think that I like this deck so much because it starts with sort of like what the green-white deck was, but has a proactive plan, or in fact, many proactive plans, depending on what the opponent's doing. And if you compare it to like the red-green Oath deck, which is like the dominant version of Oath for the last couple of years, you have a lot of the same top-end payoff, and you just never have to cast a Winter's Grasp, right? Like, if you just compare a Winter's Grasp to like the things people can do in pre-modern, it's kind of fucking embarrassing. Right? Like, compare a Winter's Grasp to a Vindicate, right? I don't even like a Vindicate, and you have many times been like, well, a Vindicate does a lot of good things for you, right? A Winter's Grasp is much worse than a Vindicate, and a Vindicate isn't good enough.
Which maybe leads us to my second point, which is also in the top 8 is Christopher Brevelio with Junk Oath and 4 copies of Vindicate, and just swapped in 3 Duresses over additional land destruction. You know, Dargaz is Calderaing himself into the top 8 as well. City of Brass as well in this mana base. I think to address your point, it is important to note that the Winter's Grasp and Thermokarsts and Sphere of Resistance and Rishon Ports and Wastelands are all pointed at the same direction.
They harmoniously work together to sometimes make your opponent not able to play Magic.
And this deck, if you are a disbeliever in the concept of mid-range, is not going to make you happy, because your ability to draw the card anything when you need it is still generally hindered by the fact that you don't have that much selection. So
I mean, this deck is 28 land for Mox Diamond. He's really up in even an additional mana source here.
With Bavelio. Well,
Yeah.
the stock Oath Ponza lists always start with 28. And it's just like a question of, I mean, there used to be 3 Mox Diamond in that deck, and now it's just 4.
Well, I mean,
it was like there was a forgotten cave at some point, but let's
say Sphere of Resistance, you could shave a land.
Exactly. So we're switching between texts a little too quickly here, but talking about Oath Spec, you're still a 27 land deck, you're still a Mox Diamond, you're still leaning very hard on Sylvan Library to make sure that the goods are being delivered. I think this is one of the strangest Rishadan Port decks I've ever seen.
Really?
Because like the idea, I kind of see it as like you're Rishadan importing your opponent into Cataclysm, or you can like do the thing where you port them off of counter spells.
Literally what you're doing, yes.
And I just kind of like, is that like the move? Like, what if your opponent has cheap spells in their deck, as we've learned to do? Okay, well, here's the second question. Is it possible that one of the things that never get talked about with pre-modern is that there aren't enough cheap spells for you to just play decks containing cheap spells?
There are. Do you look at the Dreadnought deck?
Dreadnought's the only example. So
0 and 1.
So the only examples are Dreadnought, Burn, and Elves. Like tribal aggro, Burn, and Dreadnought. And like Burn is kind of embarrassing. It has to run Seal of Fire, right? Like, so maybe the reason why
that shit out real quick.
Yeah, the reason why as Mangucci put it, pre-modern is all about lands, is because lands are somehow way more important when you can't just Ragavan, Dragon's Rage Channeler, Nethergoyf, in a previous life, Tarmogoyf, Gurmag Angler, Delver of Secrets, like Ritual Entomb, Reanimate.
Your favorite Terrageddon player, Andy Levine, explained this to me just last night. He said, "Look, this is how it works. I love Weathered Wayfarer," and I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." He's like, "I don't understand this propaganda Mike has had for months or years about I hate Weathered Wayfarer. I love Weathered Wayfarer." And I'm like, "All right, Andy, whatever you say." He's like, "I love Weathered Wayfarer, and all I do is get Rishadan ports." And then what do you do with the Rishadan ports? He's like, "I port my opponent. I just keep porting him," right? And so like a Rishadan port is a 1-for-2, right? You port one.
Yeah, you tap 2. You tap 2 of your mana.
You're using 2 resources to temporarily blunt 1 resource. I'm like, all right, I'm listening to this. He's like, and then I just keep getting more Rishadan ports, and I just keep porting my opponent. I'm like, listening. I'm like, all right, 1-for-2, 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 and then what? He's like, then I Armageddon, and I'm like, what are you 9 cards behind now? He's like, yeah, but I have a terrible.
Well, you're not 9 cards behind because you actually got the Rishadan ports for free.
Yeah, but you have a Terravor in play, so it's okay that you're 9 cards behind. Your opponent's dead next turn.
Yeah, I do think that this is one of these weird things that just kind of break down if you try to think about it, because this is what I think. I'm like, here's what you got to do. You have to have something on the battlefield, and then you just port them, right? But this deck is just like, oh, Oath the Druids, pass the turn. It's like, okay, after my Oath the Druids and Sylvan are in play, I'm going to dedicate all my resources to port Wastelanding you so that more turns pass. So just assume for a second that you need to cast something. You're like waiting until you have 7 mana so you can in one turn go Call of the Herd and then port. And then your opponent, I don't know, maybe they have Parallax Wave. I don't understand why you are porting somebody to do nothing afterwards. Like my understanding of the card port is like you're going to play your cheap spells, your Jackal Pups and Savannah Lions and Merfolk.
Well,
and
Lanny,
then you're going to port your opponent off of...
Your deck has Mox Diamond. You're forcing your opponent to commit to the board. You're gonna get some recoup off the Cataclysm. Right? I think that's a big part of it.
I get it. And then that's why I'm just kind of like, but what if your opponent just has cheap spells? Like, if your opponent just goes Goblin Lackey pass.
Two things I want to say. Brad played wonderfully. I was colossally impressed by Brad's play. He mulled to 5 against D-Tow in game 1. He mulled to 4, I think, in his deciding game against Kaplan. And, like, I mean, he was never going to win. Like, Kaplan's draw was phenomenal. And,
I think he was a correct meddling mage name away from winning.
But it looked gorgeous, you know? Like, a guy with 4 cards against Kaplan's draw, you know? Like, he played unbelievably well, in my opinion. And he lost badly to a deck that was all 1 and 0 casting cost spells. To your point, there's no Sphere of Resistance slowing down Kaplan in this version.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side is that casting Portent Impulse isn't like the pinnacle of things to do with 1 and 2 mana, but it certainly makes your other 1 and 2 and 0 mana cards really good. But I just think that this deck is exciting and interesting. It is effectively green-white Oath Cataclysm with Quiet Speculation splashed in. And maybe that's just enough. Maybe the only thing that needed to change about the deck was that it could sometimes cast Deep Analysis or Volcanic Spray. Like, I don't know.
I mean, you could just get like a bunch of Call of the Herds. It's like, that's what you want to do with your intuitions. Like, that was your goal in life.
No, I quickly discovered that intuition for Call of the Herd was like only beating decks that are already being dumpstered in this metagame. It's like, if you lose to a Call of the Herd, then you really don't need to have 3. Like, you just need to draw 1 or 2.
So, I like this deck a lot. I think, like, ability to accumulate material is just, I don't know, man. I guess we differently rate it.
I don't understand it. Like,
is this deck basically the Rock? Yes.
It doesn't.
It's Rock, but they have Cataclysm, so.
I mean, Oath of Druids is pretty important here. It's just like, I think another blind spot I have is like my inability to comprehend decks that like don't contain like the good blue cards. I'm just kind of like, surely you can. I don't know. Maybe a second Deep Analysis would just change my attitude entirely. Like,
it's like, how does this deck not have a second Deep Analysis?
All you need is a second Deep Analysis, and then I'm back in. I just don't understand. I feel like we have the
tutor for Sphere of Law, and it gets pops anyway. And maybe Sphere of Law is where it gets cut.
I certainly would love to cut this Sphere of Law, but like, it's a 3-color deck that still has. It's a 4-color deck that still has 7 colorless lands. Like, basically, your like Wasteland Port thing is just like very confusing to me when sort of Oath of Druids just like stops the game from moving forward anyways. But I guess like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't understand. I like this feel like there isn't that much different. Like, this is the Oath Plush deck with a little bit more card draw and no Sphere of Resistance.
But it's more proactive than the Oath Plush deck.
I mean, the Oath Plush deck you could just play 4 Cataclysm in the Oath Plush deck if you want.
Yeah, but the Oath Plush deck just casts its cards and hope the opponent played into them. Like, that was the whole game plan. Here you can pick what you're getting. Like, you're playing against Enchantress, you get Volcanic Spray. You're playing against another mid-range deck, you get Deep Analysis. Some decks, I understand where you're coming from because you're so cynical, maybe. But if I just get 3 Call of the Herd against you, any deck you've ever played, except maybe Replenish.
Yeah, I just played Replenish this weekend.
Yeah, like, every other deck you've ever played except maybe Replenish. Oh my god, you just got 3 Call of the Herd.
Yeah. Dead. Well, I mean, maybe that's all it takes, is that, like, the Oath Plush deck had all of the same Treetop Village, Cataclysm, Oath for Terravor, Wasteland Ports. It had all of those. And like, the only difference is that it just didn't have Volcanic Spray and Deep Analysis and Quiet Spec.
Pretty big deal in some match. I mean, the ability to just get the Ray of Revelation is not bad. Come on.
Getting multiple Ray of Revelation is awesome. I'm I'm almost confused as to why we don't just have 3, because they're just like, don't you just want all of them against Enchantress? Like,
so I think like like we're a little puzzled by the number of quiet speculation. The number I would start with is 4, right? So whether or not 3 is the right number, 2 is the right number.
I think
2 is not an intuitive number.
I think 4 is quickly going to start targeting your opponent, because you're not doing anything else.
Why would I target my opponent? I'm sorry for my idiocy here.
Because you just get a look at their deck, and your deck, like, if my deck runs out of flashback cards, you get just a look at your deck.
It's like, that wasn't in my range of things I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, no.
Let's have a look. Okay.
Or you can in the mirror, you can spec them and then Tormod's Crypt their goodies. And then all their specs and they don't have any flashback cards left. I don't know.
I have to say, while I imagine some of the things you're saying are in the range,
it's in the small part. It's in the small part of the range. Yeah.
I mean, Detail respected the quiet speculation so much he cited in Pyroblast.
Interesting. I mean, I guess because you're like, Weathered Wayfarers aren't good.
I thought he should. We talked about it post match. So Detail lost games 1 and 3 against Brad after defeating Chris B in the round of 8. And I watched all 3 games. Detail just didn't. It was a Sylvan Library fight in at least 2 of the games where Brad was ahead on the Sylvan Library fight, but Detail literally just didn't draw Swords to Plowshares in game 1 or 3, despite having like Sylvan Library availability. And game 2, I was pretty impressed. Detail just went down a massive number of cards to like just drag his board position. And set up a 1-turn Armageddon and hope that Brad didn't have a plow, and he didn't have a plow, and he got him in 1 attack. So, it was. I think it was a very bad matchup for Detail. But that his not drawing Swords to Plowshares was the proximate reason that he went down. But he said he just respected quiet speculation so much. He cited Pyroblast, and he said, "I don't think I can win the game if Brad casts a turn 2 quiet speculation."
And just has 3/3s and deep analysis?
No, it just gets Ray. Right? In a sideboard game, can't Bray get multiple Rays?
For Detail's Terrageddon deck?
Yeah.
Whose only target is Sylvan Library?
It's all about Sylvan Library, yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't see it that way. But I do think that Terrageddon is really bad against a singular deep analysis getting cast, because I've done that when I play blue decks, and generally that's good.
Brad cast deep analysis in game 1.
Yeah, like,
it got him out of his mull to 5.
One of the things, it was like the Hootenanny blue deck playing AK to beat terrible. Like, it's like no tech, just like draw a couple more cards.
I told Detail after the match, it was over already, I thought he was wrong siding out Weathered Wayfarer, and he was just like, "Look, I'm so behind if he has Volcanic Spray." I'm like, "Yeah, but you have no way to get ahead," right? Like, if it's just like you drawing off the top of your deck, him drawing off the top of his deck, he has better card drawing than you, and your deck is liable to Oath of Druids, right? Like, you have to have something, and like, it sucks if it gets Volcanic Sprayed, but what if you have a second one and he doesn't,
Well, he'll flashback Volcanic Spray, but yeah.
The Volcanic Spray probably didn't come off the front side.
I mean, hopefully not. Like, it's okay. It's like the same.
Good.
It's the same deck. They're playing all of the same cards, except for one deck has Oath of Druids, and the other deck has Wayfarer. Wait,
yeah,
what?
but Oath of Druids is containable. If you contain the Oath of Druids, then the Weathered Wayfarer, how many times did it have to activate before you have a significant advantage?
I guess Detail doesn't have the option to simply board out all of his creatures besides Terravores.
I mean, he's boarding in Pyroblast, so...
Yeah. Okay, well, anyways...
He boarded I think he boarded in Thornscape Apprentice. Thornscape Apprentice is some nice tech for Terravore fights.
I'm just gonna assume that everyone stops playing Terrageddon and starts playing Oath Spec. Which I'm sure is foolish of me, but if I was a Terravor enjoyer, I think the Oath Spec deck, or of course, good old Oath Ponza, is where I would be. And Terrageddon, despite putting 2 people into the top 8 of course, the biggest pre-modern tournament in New York City history, still does not make me think that the deck is particularly great. So
I mean, also like it's Detail and Andy Levine, and as I pointed out, neither of those motherfuckers can lose a match, and I didn't win a match. It was just the same as our trios day.
yeah,
Literally,
right.
really the same.
I mean, the best part is that Detail like isn't really practicing, so he just kind of did the thing. I mean, I don't know.
It's just on the vibes.
Maybe Terrageddon is really the redo deck of the pre-modern format.
I don't know how to analyze this. I know Detail listens, so he'll hear this. Like, I don't know when he got better than me. Like, I've known him for like a long time, and like, no offense to him, I've never been afraid to play. Historically, and he is very clearly better than I am now. I don't know when that happened, but he like, I watched him play. It's different when he's playing Vintage, and I'm like, I don't know what any of his cards do, so I don't want to opine on something I don't understand. But I'm sitting here watching him play Pre-Modern, a format that I spend much more time than he does, and he's like so cerebral on all of his plays, and his outcome is fantastic. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know when this happened.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting good reps. I think you are just going to the gym and just racking up what you can lift, and then just doing one set, and then you're like, "Okay," and then you're out. So I think
when you're as handsome as I am, that's what you need for maintenance.
I think
you don't want to get too bulky.
I think you've given up on gains, and meanwhile, if Detail is going to be playing pre-modern, if he's going to be playing vintage, he's too busy with the rest of his life. He needs to get maximum mileage, so he does low reps to failure, and failing, high weight, and failing in the top 4 is not bad. So I think that could be a little bit of what's happening here. Final word on the Oath Spec deck. What do you think this changes? If this deck,
this is legit the new hotness. Like, a lot of decks come and go, right? But the one thing that just floored me was, like, if you asked me this 3 weeks ago, I'd be like, Enchantress is too good. That deck is ruining pre-modern. It's so good. And I'm like, obviously, I'm just battered and, lying in my own filth in an alley because SWB had beaten me twice in 1 week, including in the top 4 of a different $1,000 tournament. I guess this is a $3,000 tournament, right? My God, this deck is too good. It's too good. It's too good. And then I see this deck, and the Enchantress can never beat it. And I'm like, the fact that it can so easily floor the previous new hotness, and I think if you tune this deck a little bit differently, it's probably very good against Dreadnought, right? Like, all these kind of decks were always had some kind of game against Dreadnought. And Dreadnought is Dreadnought, but this is not even, he's not trying to beat Dreadnought, Lanny. Like, all my decks that have the color white in them, I am trying to beat. Just look at the composition of the cards that I've chosen. He has no abeyances. He's not maxed out on Seal of Cleansing. He's not even trying to beat Dreadnought. So the fact that he almost beat Dreadnought was, pretty good.
I think this deck is going to be lacking in Dreadnought tools because it's designed to try to Oath the Druids a 13/13 Terrabor in game 1, and then in game 2 it's trying to Meddling Mage its way out of the problem, and it's just too slow against the card advantage engine of Dreadnought, right?
The fastest Dreadnought trust.
So, no, it's not the fast. Kaplan would win on turn turn 10. Kaplan played a Dreadnought that got removed in game 3, and then later on, 3 or 4 turns later, just played another Dreadnought. And I think that this deck
can't really talk about the composition of Kaplan's deck, but that's the only thing he can do. He doesn't have a plan B.
My point is that it's not about Dreadnought being fast. It's about Dreadnought having more volume. I think similarly, this deck is not going to be able to weather the storm of blue card advantage decks. I think it's maybe has an interesting, I mean, I don't even know like how I feel about the mono blue tide deck these days. It still feels like it's like it's probably just like a specialist deck. You just have to like devote your entire life to mono blue tide to like really see results. Blue white tide is gaining in popularity.
Top 8'd. Andy's always great with that deck. I think it's just a great deck. I don't agree with you at all. And I think you've always underrated it. The deck's been a statistical outlier in every single event that it's ever been played in.
I mean, it lacks a little bit of like the wow factor or like the juggernaut factor, right?
It does
like,
not have the wow factor.
Compare it to Enchantress, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. When I watch Andy win, like I'm like, I would never win this game. Like he spends like 3 turns going down a card, like desperately quicksanding a creature so that he can Mishra's Factory it and also lose the Mishra's Factory, like Chain of Vaporing to just not die, to an oncoming attacker, and then 2 turns later his opponent has no permanence in play, and then he wins at 1 life or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's by design, I suppose. So I think that Dreadnought can probably get the upper hand on this deck. You can of course try to load up your sideboard, but if you do, I think it has to be in the form of card advantage rather than just going mono removal. If you are playing against Replenish, I feel like trying to natural draw Wastelands and Ports and then have Meddling Mage in your sideboard is not going to work. So I think this deck is pretty poor against Replenish. It clearly beats Enchantress. Burn?
It is worse against Replenish than Terragheddon. That's what I would say, yeah.
Yeah, because Weathered Wayfarer changes a lot about that matchup, but these days, crazy Replenish pilots like myself and Mike Packer are just playing basic lands. We just cut CD traders and we're just like wasteland my island, and you just sit there and they can port you and you can just have plains and islands and then they can port you, but they can't wasteland you. And then you just play your Ancient Tomb, make a bunch of mana like that they don't expect and replenish you, and you're kind of in bad shape. So that's
Ancient Tomb in your deck?
Yeah.
What kind of maniac is this?
Yep. I took that one from Raska, actually. He has a list that is basically the same starting 60 as mine, except for he's playing 3 counterspell instead of a counterspell mix. Counterspell mana leak, whatever mix. He's playing an additional island instead of a copy of Skycloud Expanse. And then his sideboard for Red Hate has Sphere of Law instead of Blasts, and I think an Arms Chant Abeyance mix instead of Mono Abeyance. We can talk about Replenish. I have built a Replenish deck that is basically red-green. Well, it's like the same thing as red-green Oath Ponza. It's like blue-white Oath Ponza. Like you just play your lands, you play your sorcery speed card. You have
one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. You have like a little bit of interaction from Swords of Plowshares and counterspells, but like you just sit there, and if your opponent has creatures, you play Parallax Wave, and if your opponent has lands, you play Parallax Tide, and you stifle them or you do replenish things, and no tricks, just casting your spell. And if your opponent can cast like 3 spells in a turn, they might get you if they can beat you before you start removing their lands, or if your draw just doesn't have the goods. I played 4 Attunement, no Frantic Search. I activated Attunement 3 times in a match against Black Red where I didn't find anything. And I think the deck is kind of... I mean, this has always been the case where it's like struggling for space. If you don't play the 16 4-drops, you can start trimming Parallaxes and you can start playing Interaction. But like, interaction decks don't want to be playing 9 4-drops either, like that, or 13 4-drops, right? They don't want to play like a bunch of Opalescence either. So I think you should either play all of them or just play like 1 or 2 I don't know. Play Mishra's Factory. I don't know. 2 Opalescence. Just play a blue-white control deck. Don't play 4 Replenishes. Don't play Intuitions. I have no idea. But Replenish feels like it's just a solid deck that you can beat and you can get beaten by. And that's just like, it's just got like a solid win rate.
Despite the fact that you played Replenish, the red-green Replenish deck, as you're calling it, do you have Replenish? Like if you just asked me in the abstract, like how good do I think is Replenish, I would say like it is on par with Dreadnought as the best deck in the format, is what I would have said, at least prior to LobsterCon.
Yeah,
I think
so
Enchantress has really taken a lot of that.
I think that Replenish, Dreadnought, Enchantress, and red-green Oath Panza are all nice decks. They're all good decks. They're all roughly equal in overall expected value. They gain points and lose points. They have different matchup extremities. You know, Replenish, of course, just great against Enchantress, great against Elves, pretty good against Red-Green Oath. I would say even against Terrageddon, although slightly unfavored, but like I think this version with more basic lands is going to do better against Terrageddon. Even against Burn, even against Dreadnought. And I think that that's just like a reasonable matchup spread. And
incredible, like you've described an incredible matchup spread.
Well, it's horrible against Blue-White and Mono-Blue Tide. You can obviously tech to beat those decks. It is... you know, I beat Goblins pretty easily. I think it's quite favored against Goblins.
I lost to Lan in the 1K that he split with Volmer in the finals when I was on Goblins. But when we were testing for the PSS and I was on Goblins, I beat you repeatedly.
Yeah, well, now you just can't get Wastelanded as hard. So it's just like...
Okay, fair enough.
I think that makes a difference. And then also, I had 2 Swords of Plowshares main deck. I've gone up to 4 Swords of Plowshares main deck and 4 Blue Blast sideboard.
Oh, you had like the 2 Swords of Plowshares, 2 Seal of Cleansing split?
Yeah. 2
that
Careful
makes
Study.
No sense in any matchup.
I had 2 Careful Study as well. I think that it's like, and then this, like, I think maybe it's like can be good, can be bad against Cataclysmic-Quiet Oath. Like, I think it's probably good.
Counter spells, right? Like, they can't set you up in game 1.
That's true. I mean...
Oh, yeah, the thing I wanted to say is any Oath deck is at least challenging for Elves, right? Like, you know, there's a continuum that starts with challenging and then just gets worse, right? But as an Elves lover, I gotta say, now that these motherfuckers can be quiet specking for Volcanic Spray... Right, it's
yeah. You don't really enjoy being side collateral damaged on this.
They've got you covered so many different directions now. They can cast like 4 of them in a game, and the problem is, you know, for all of the criticism that you levied at Quiet Oath, relative to Red Green Oath Panza or other builds, which probably makes sense in those matchups. It's absolutely Avalanche-like matchup against Elves, Stompy, right? Like any deck like that is it's so many more points. Like it gives up a little bit of points in these other matchups that you're talking about. Yeah, it's not as good here. It's not as good against Dreadnought, but it could still win. You know, Brad took a game, and like you said, in a game that he mulled before, he was one meddling mage name off of maybe winning the game. I mean, how do you counterbalance that with a resurgent Elves? You know, in part because of yourself, Elves is the highest performing deck on win rate in the format going into Sacred Torch. It is horribad against this version of Oath. I mean, I watched Brad and Nick were playing for top 8, right? They were paired against each other. Winner gets to draw in, and Nick is a very capable Elves player, and he was absolutely helpless.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that one, Elves does need to adapt And if it's not in the form of playing untapperless elves, it needs to be something. It could be Phantom Nantuko. It can be Turbo.
You can't adapt to this deck with Phantom Nantuko and no untappers. Like that, the deck.
No. I mean, I'm saying you would have to do something, right? So if you can do Phantom Nantuko and untappers, which is resilient to Volcanic Spray, you can do no untappers, or like mostly no untappers. Birds of Paradise, resilient to Volcanic Spray. You can play a version that has one copy of Kesa, which is elf that gives all green creatures +1/+1.
It costs 2/3 Crusade for your stuff.
Well, it's a 3/4 because it buffs itself, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to become a favorable matchup. Your opponent is trying to Oath, Cataclysm, and Volcanic Spray you, but you can reduce the amount of ability for it to completely blow you out with one card by having some choice technology decisions. And I think you can put together a plan. I think Oath of Druids is extremely oppressive here, and like still the most annoying card to play against, because you have to like board into like 4 naturalized.
It's still threats against answers has been
you're praying
in this game since 1993.
The Nantuko Vigilante gulf here is horrible, right? Like your ability to Nantuko Vigilante and Oath of Druids, you just can't do it.
But to be fair, they're not restricting your mana in the same way as Red Green Oath, so you can like sit there and develop in a way, right?
Yeah.
You can't historically. I would just say,
but if they quiet spec for Ray Revelation,
if they take out your Nantuko Vigilante Finder, the problem here I think is that unlike other builds, which have Winter's Grasp or whatever, all plans fail to Cataclysm. Like every single plan that you want to lay out loses to Cataclysm because their Terravore is bigger than whatever you keep.
I mean, it's like a push and pull, right? Like you need to you're absolutely right. Like if your board is like not very impressive and they Cataclysm you, Call of the Claw typically doesn't save your bacon. Additionally, it is hard to hold up 3 mana on your opponent's turn if you removed most of the cards in your deck that allow you to untap Priest of Titania on their turn, in addition to also removing Priest of Titania. So the Color of the Claw plan doesn't really work when you're low on those cards. You'll get annihilated by Cataclysm.
I lost to Sitsis at the Bearded 1K 2-1. I got a game. So what happened was in the middle of the day, I drew with SWB. So he was going to eat a spring bone or whatever. He won his next round, made top 8. I lost to Sitsis, so I had to play the last round. Sitsis is on Oath, as he often is. And the game that I won, I just dumped all these stupid 1/1s onto the battlefield and just turned them all sideways. And he had Terravores, he had Oaths, and I got him Xaxes, right? Like, just played all my 1/1s and just sent them, right? And
I actually did something similar. Right before I went on vacation, I was playing my online league with untapperless elves again, and I was paired against Spec Oath, piloted by McLean, who has my number. He's my nemesis. And I actually set up a turn 3 biorhythm, and I just passed the turn. And I'm like, if he doesn't have Volcanic Spray, I actually just win this game. And he had Volcanic Spray.
Yeah, well, of course.
But he had the natural Volcanic Spray. Like, he drew the 2 of, right? So maybe biorhythm is the way forward for elves, because biorhythm's good against Replenish. It's good against Devourer. It's good against Contamination. It's good against Mono Blue Tie. Well, it's not great against Mono Blue Tie.
Biorhythm is such a high casting cost. Like, can we go Plow Under? Can we go Stunted Growth? Like, which are basically 50% of a biorhythm. Like, biorhythm is 1,000 mana.
Devourer can be very indifferent to a Plow Under.
I hear you. And Devourer on the play is going to beat Elves anyway.
Oath the Druids on the battlefield can be very indifferent, right? Because you can cast Biorhythm on turn 3, and it's not that hard. All you need is a Gaia's Cradle and a Priest of Titania. Your shitters? No, they're back. They're back.
Okay.
Because I realized I couldn't fix anything. I needed to stop trying to fix other matchups and be like, okay, well, why don't we fix Oath of Druids and Control at the same time and have Biorhythm be the answer?
At least always beat Dreadnought. Because my deck is somewhat Lanny-fied, but at least I always beat Dreadnought.
I mean, I think that on principle, if you believe the thing about your deck beats Dreadnought is your ability to acquire Wirewood Symbiote and Thornscape Battle Mage, you have like 4 Symbiote and 3 Battle Mage, and I have 1 Symbiote and 2 Battle Mage. Your deck is going to do that more often. I also deprioritize white mana, but I think that you can build well, for one, if you're going to play Biorhythm Elves, you'll probably play more Symbiote on average. But yeah, I mean...
Because Mike Arnold posted in Non-Idiots. He played... It's not exactly my deck. It's very similar to my deck, and he 5-1 the monthly this month with Battle Mages. And, like, I don't think it's the best deck on Earth. I didn't play it on Saturday because I was afraid of Oath primarily. Every freaking Duress Crew player that I played with at Andy's house on Friday night had an Oath deck. So I'm like, I'm getting no matchup spread here. I played against Black-Green Oath. I played against Red-Green Oath. You know, they're all Oath decks. I'm like, everybody's just going to play Oath. I'm not going to play Elves. But the one thing I would say is I love that deck. It just beats Dreadnought very well. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to, like, start losing to Enchantress all the time because they have Opal Wave, or lose to Volcanic Spray.
I did lose to SWB.
Continue to lose to Pyroclasm. Continue to lose to, like, Oath Sphere of Resistance.
Yeah, I didn't play Elves, Lanny. All these cards are also in the same deck. You're literally just naming cards that
No. I just named, you lose to Replenish. I named Enchantress, Oath Spec, Red Green Oath, and, if it became a problem, they could just play more Cursed Totems.
Well, yeah, Cursed Totem is really
which answers both Elves and Devourer, if you believe that Devourer is a problem.
Hornscape Battle Mage is indifferent to Cursed Totem and gets all of his buddies out of jail.
Not if your white source is Birds of Paradise.
Well, I have a Plains in my deck.
So you have to natural 1 of 5?
No. You have a Maya Granger, 4 Windswept Heaths.
All right. Now you're starting to count survivals as colored sources. Now I finally got you onto that line of thinking.
So this is the funniest thing is when I was playing the deck. Because I had gone from whatever, Mengu has like all forests, right? But like a normal person has like 4 wooded foothills to get their mountain, Mengu's philosophy was like, I tried all these wooded foothills and Windswept Heaths, and all they did was make my opponent's Terraforce bigger, right? So he's like, he's on forest, right? Normal person has 4 wooded foothills. So I went to 4 wooded foothills, 4 Windswept Heaths. I'm like, these are basically forests also. Oh, no. There's a terminal number of forests you could have on the battlefield when you have this many dual lands. I sacked my last Windswept Heath, and I'm like...
Nothing.
I guess I'm getting the Plains.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Elves was extremely exciting going up to Sacred Torch, and all of a sudden, it seems a little unpalatable. But I do think that the following direction should be something that plays a lot of Biorhythm main deck. I don't think it's that hard to make 7 mana on turn 3. You can do it. You can play Crop Rotation. You can turn Elves into a combo deck that also has like ramp and survival elements.
Well, to be fair, there were 4 Terravore decks in the top 8 of Sacred Torch. Historically, Elves has had a good matchup against Terrageddon specifically, not necessarily Oath variants, but both of the Terrageddon decks.
Well, assuming all the Terrageddon players start playing Oath Spec, then Elves is just super unhappy, right?
Well, no, I'm just saying even the ones that were just, my Team Trios teammates, Andy and Detau, both had access to multiple Cataclysm. That's really the thing. When Elves is playing against Armageddon, they're kind of like, I'm going to pick up one of my forests and hopefully I don't get my mountain stranded. Like the worst thing in their mind is just getting their mountain stranded, which takes away their haste. But otherwise, just like not really that worried about the card Armageddon. But the card Cataclysm is devastating for Elves. So I think that's points against Elves just in the marketplace of the metagame.
Yeah. Elves is off my list of like good decks
I
very
think
quickly.
might be off of my list.
Yeah.
I was a big Elves lover. I have custom sleeves that were made by Sonny Sealancetti just for this tournament, really, and they didn't get played. Although they did Nick win them? He said that
Nick and both the Mono Elves guys, Nick and Ryan Fisher, won because they were probably the only ones putting raffle tickets in that box. Yeah.
But those sleeves were made for Elves players, made for this event. Do we want to talk about Andy Vollmer?
Yeah, I mean, Thawing Glaciers in the sideboard, the card that you once thought everyone should be playing.
I did.
No Tides. Andy didn't share with us why he thought No Tides was better. Do you want to hazard a guess?
From last year.
I mean, do you want to? Oh no, he's made some changes. I'm sure he didn't like have Prohibit. You know.
I mean, his Tide is Thawing Glaciers Dust Bowl. That's his Tide, and it's one-sided. I mean, the card Parallax Tide isn't very good in. Like, there are a lot of dimensions by which you can look at that card and be like, this card doesn't actually do anything for me, right? It's just a combo piece, and he's just not playing that. He's playing an honest game of Magic over here.
Yeah, I mean, you also get to play Disenchant instead of Sealed Cleansing, moderately relevant at times. We have, well, this is basically like, this is Landstill. This is Landstill.
This is just Landstill.
10 counterspells, Disenchants, Impulse, 2 Factor Fictions, seems a little low.
4 Standstill, that's why.
4 Standstill,
Like
1 Keg, 2 Wrath of God, 3 Decree of Justice.
The 3-4 Facts of Fiction folks have, typically have 2-3 Standstill.
26 predictable lands. A anti-red sideboard package of 4 Blue Blast, 3 Chill, and 1 Cop Red. Andy V told me he played against red 0 times. And then 2 Thawing Glaciers, 2 Teferi's Response to make the mana work, and then just 3 Annul to make the mana work because you might get tided. Yeah, I think that things could have gone slightly differently. I think Packer's deck failed to function against this deck. Packer's deck being Replenish with, Abance Replenish plus counterspells in the sideboard games.
Wow, wait, so there's a Replenish deck that played specifically the cards Abance and Counterspell. Man, what kind of a genius would have ever put those together?
Well, 3 counterspells and 2 mana leak even. So 5 counters main deck instead of 1 in the sideboard. And then 2 Arms Chant, 2 Abance. 2 Sabo's Web, which is also really excellent.
That's great against Vollmer's deck, yeah.
Yeah, that'll turn off both Thawing Glaciers and Dust Bowl, should you ever be there.
I mean, Fairy Conclave comes into play tapped. Mistress Factory has nothing better to do. It's just hanging out here.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that, if you pick up Landstill, you've got a lot of work to do. Can you go 5-0 and then double draw into the top 8?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Apparently you can.
Can you lose a tight match to the eventual winner of the tournament in the top 8? Also, yes.
I think, nothing against Kaplan, but I think it was a long day and Kaplan stole multiple of his top 8 matches on his opponents doing it.
Well, he's got more, he's got a little bit more of that long tournament experience. Of course, a big legacy grinder, winner of a 10K SCG, 18 months ago or something like that. And
I think it was way back in 2023.
Oh, is that so? It was
the first week I lived here. That's how I
know.
know.
In Brooklyn?
It was the first week I lived here.
Okay, so way back in 2023. But yeah, definitely no stranger. Plays at Eternal Weekend. So can play the
He was top 8 of the Vintage World Championships last year.
Yeah, yeah. So he can play a long tournament. Most pre-modern players don't get the same opportunity. And he plays Delver, so he also has the ability to stay focused on his blue decks through that entire period.
I mean, so I think Volmer's an excellent player overall, personally.
Yeah, and
it's very, very impressive.
I mean, he did it with Landstill. Do you think that people should play Landstill instead of Blue-White Tide?
I don't know, man. I loved Landstill. Like, what? How long ago did I love Landstill? Like 2 years ago.
You brought it to LobsterCon 2023.
Yeah, I loved it. And then when we had basically my main deck with Landy Hose,
Dust Bowls and Arcane Labs,
Arcane Labs, and combined with, is it David Daniel who put Phyrexian Furnace in the main deck? Like, I thought that kind of like the me and Metelsky main deck with Phyrexian Furnace and then land sideboard, I thought that was a machine. The only reason I don't have it put together is I took all the cards out to make Flippy to loan it to someone else for 1K. But I think there's kind of no reason why I shouldn't own a Landstill deck. I feel like maybe I'll play Landstill. I haven't played in League because I don't want to play Landstill in a room where, like, because both of the Andys have been playing, right? So Volmer's been playing. I don't want to play Landstill against Andy Volmer, and I don't want to play Landstill against Andy Levine. Andy Levine only plays decks that murder Landstill.
Maybe the day that he chooses to play the Bauble is when you get to play Landstill.
I mean, I picked my deck this week knowing Andy Volmer's had started coming to League, and he played Blue-Green Madness.
Oh.
So like he didn't play Landstill.
I think Blue-Green Madness is probably pretty good against Landstill.
Well, I picked my deck based on hoping that Andy Volmer was going to play Landstill. So the fact that he played Blue-Green Madness is the thing that I'm talking about. The head-to-head matchup between Blue-Green Madness and Landstill it's got to be in favor of Blue-Green Madness. I think that's what you said, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that much Blue-Green Madness data. I don't have that much Blue-Green Survival Madness data. It's all one person.
Blue-Green Madness can be Morsies, I think, right? Like, they don't have that many actual ways to win.
I mean, if they get the Madness outlet, their ability to play at instant speed is amazing.
Yeah, but, like, if you just cast a Wrath of God against them, they have to kind of rebuild on their own turn.
I think it's hard to cast Wrath of God through Counterspell Circular Logic.
I'm just saying, if you can do it, you know, it's good. It's a good job if you can get it.
Yeah, there's just no way for you to guarantee that it'll resolve. Like, it's because it's like kind of the only card that they care about. Or Humility, I guess, is really good.
Yeah, Humility cracks them pretty bad. Yeah,
and you can maybe try to ambush Decree Justice. I don't know. Probably not. Ambush the Root Walla.
I mean, this is all tough.
It doesn't feel good. Madness is still quite an efficient deck. It has really efficient counter spells. It has a reasonable engine, and you should be playing Merfolk Looter. I don't know. So pre-modern, Enchantress, Replenish, Dreadnought, Oath Spec, maybe, Ponza Oath. Rounding that out, Terrageddon, I guess. If you have to play mid-range, you can play Terrageddon.
I'm like a little mad at myself. Remember I told you a month ago, like I had been brewing and I had a deck for Sacred Torch, and it was a Terrageddon variant, and I didn't play it because I didn't think it could beat Landy Hoth, and then Land didn't even show up. And then Terrageddon did so well. I wonder how well my deck would have done. It's quite different from both of these decks.
I guess we'll have to find out at the next Sacred Torch. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for us. Great run of weeks in pre-modern. Shout out to everybody who came to Sacred Torch Showdown from out of town. We had a visitor from Costa Rica. We had people from someone visiting from Atlanta. We had.
It felt like a big deal.
Oh yeah, it felt like a mini LobsterCon to me.
It felt like more than a lot. You know, LobsterCon is great. Don't get me wrong, right? It's your Super Bowl. You described it as your Super Bowl, but LobsterCon is inherently low stakes, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just pure bragging rights, and I love LobsterCon. I
would definitely prefer being the LobsterCon champion than the Sacred Torch champion.
I'm not saying that.
I think everyone would prefer that.
I'm
not to,
saying
like
that-
not just because like I don't know, like it feels like six of eight people in the top 8 were just like economically indifferent to the prize money. Like, but
Oh wait, of the people in the top 4, I don't know much about Brad, but I can't imagine D Tower Andy was very moved by the by the top 4.
yeah, they were like they were like talking about splits and whatever, and I was just like talking to, I was just like, listen, the jump between $6,000 and 1,300, first prize was 1,300, or sorry,
Yeah.
666 was the top 4 split.
Yep.
Or it would have been 1,300 up top, and then 700, and then 300. I was like, of the people in the top 4, I was like, I don't know how many of them are that interested in, say, a 30% shot at, or I don't know if they like their matchup, a 60% shot at $1,300 or locking in 666, right? Like it just doesn't matter.
Andy got so many things signed by Donato that day that he said he ended up in the
losing
hole.
money. Yeah, he spent
Like,
more than $600 getting
Third place,
Donato.
he's in the hole.
Shout out to Donato. If you are hosting events, he's a great ad to have for signings.
Donato paid his mortgage for the next few years on.
You mean Andy paid Donato's mortgage?
I think there were other people who, in the car that I was in, driving from the venue back to Brooklyn, multiple people had dropped more than $500 with Donato that day.
Yeah, well,
More than one person. So it wasn't just Andy paying Donato's.
It'll be great. It means that he'll come back to continue to be the homie at our events in New York. Yeah, shout out to Rest Crew. Shout out Tolarian PTA.
That's why I feel like it's such a big deal. Like the Duress Crew came. Obviously the Tolarian PTA are like our neighbors. They come if there's like an event at the brewery. Those guys come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so like they're our neighbors. But like the Duress Crew coming, someone from Costa Rica coming. It felt like a big deal. Obviously, LobsterCon is a bigger deal, right? But it felt like a big deal, and we've had so many 1Ks in the area, right? And so like none of those feel like a big deal.
Yeah, well, this is
third in a 1K.
This is thanks to the efforts of the TO team, the whole team being Phil, Dell, Roland, myself, Kaplan. But Phil
Kaplan,
of course
should be disqualified from winning.
But Phil, of course, really led the charge on saying like, look, this is our event. We are going to max out on things to make this event special. We all work together on different elements of the logistics, but having stamped cards, having an artist visit, having really promoting and trying to make sure that people want to come in from out of town, just being like, listen, if you're going to come to a tournament in New York, make this the one. That's all the effort of the TOs. That's the thing that separates this from just another large regional pre-modern tournament. I'm excited. I think that it's a great time in pre-modern with multiple high-level Swiss tournaments getting played. It adds to the excitement, I'm super grateful that we were able to have such an amazing tournament that no feels bads. Everyone just a lot of people have maybe said in the past that prize money ruins tournament vibes, and I think this is just a sound rebuttal of that concept.
Why do they think that?
People just believe what they want to believe. I don't really want to go into what the trolls and haters think, because the proof is in the pudding. You can have a pre-modern 3K and still maintain excellent vibes. Shout out to Jen and Seth, our judges. It was just, amazing tournament.
They had to answer mostly questions about opalescence and related forecasting costs and champions.
Yeah, I managed to put the 2 opalescence in the battlefield, and my opponent, who was Emmanuel, who was visiting from Costa Rica, then cast Humiliating the next turn, and then
that's one that I don't know.
Both judges
I claim to understand how the stack works.
Both judges got involved, and short answer: nothing has abilities as far as determining power and toughness. you apply them in the order that the enchantments come into play. So Opalescence comes into play, makes all enchantments, mana value, whatever. That's their power toughness. Humility comes in play, makes them all 1/1s. Opalescence then comes into play, makes Humility and Opalescence 4/4s. But the first Opalescence is on the lowest level, so it makes the other Opalescence a 4/4. And then Humility is on top of that, it makes it a 1/1. And of course, Opalescence doesn't affect itself. But then if you put another Opalescence in play,
they would all
everything's a 4/4. But then if you put another Humility in play, everything goes to 1/1. So resolve, power, and toughness changes in the order that the cards enter the battlefield, and then nothing has abilities. That's how you solve your Humility Opalescence situation. So yeah, basically I had 2 Opalescence in play. There are 1/1s. My opponent attacked with Decree of Justice tokens. I blocked with my Opalescences, and then I cast Replenish, and then now my Opalescences were 4/4s because they came in after. Anyways, long live pre-modern. Long live.
Do you know what Simon lost to? I'm proud of him. He was just...
No, you can take it up with Simon.
Not at the top 8.
Long live pre-modern. Long live Order of the Sacred Torch. We will see you again at the Big Apple Highlander charity tournament that we'll have at the end of the year, most likely. November might come up with No Deck Touch November as a meme tournament.
That's Land's idea?
Yeah, that's Land's idea for Sunny to execute.
I love this idea.
We should shout out Bearded. They are still running quarterly 1K size or Winamax size.
Bearded brought a bunch of people. Like Ashok was 9th on the bubble, and Osip was top 16.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, be sure to check out coverage. Twitch.tv/Lanny. If you're hearing this too late, you can check out the VOD, and the VOD will also be on YouTube. You can find links to my stuff, our stuff, in the description. Love Spy Colony.
Bye. Zombie Infestation deck that won the DXC tournament.
What do you want to say about the black-green zombie infestations?
It didn't lose to anything. You beat everybody 2-0.
All right. That's nice. What else?
I don't know that I would ever want to play this deck, but he beat everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It gets to play giant wild mongrels thanks to all the squee.
Just dumping stuff to the wild mongrel.
Squee, Kravik, and Horror, right? Because it gets to play survival. It gets to play Diverse Cobalt Therapy. I mean, this is just like a grindy beatdown deck, right? It has like almost no interaction.
He has a Bone Shredder.
Yeah, a Bone Shredder and a Vigilante and 7 discard spells. But otherwise, you're just trying to put him...
If your opponent rolls higher than you, you always lose if you're playing this deck, right? Like, that's basically the lesson.
I mean, this deck doesn't even look good against... I mean, I have no idea.
I couldn't believe you beat the Burn deck.
It seems unlikely that this deck would beat Enchantress. It certainly doesn't beat Replenish. But I guess it has a Withered Wretch in the sideboard.
He beat Selden. I didn't think he'd beat Selden. He certainly should not have beaten the Burn deck, and he did. And he beat Selden.
Yeah, I mean, this deck is good against Wrath of God. Like, you have Zombie Infestation. Apparently, Goblins can't beat the card Zombie Infestation ever.
What if you don't have the Kravik and Horror Squee aspect? Then Zombie Infestation is an incredibly bad Grizzly Bear.
I mean, you've got 4 Root Wallas.
Grizzly Bear discard 2 cards.
You have 4 Root Wallas, and you've got 6 of the Kravik and Squee, so...
I'm in love with Firestorm. I think you have to play more.
Sure. I mean... But you're already so good against Goblins, so you just need it for Elves.
Is this a deck? Like, I wanted to make a similar deck, not with Zombie Infestation, but like just like Survival, Squee, Firestorm, Masticore. Like make Squee the best it could be, but it's just, I think, even worse than this. Like if somebody just rolls higher than you, you just never win.
Yeah, I mean, Squee Masticore is not that exciting because you still need mana. And then Squee Firestorm is like fine. But what is X equal to in your Firestorm scenario? Like 3? So you kind of need a lot of Squee.
No, you could just discard 7 cards, if you had enough targets.
So I think more often you'll discard 3 cards, because discarding 7 cards would have to mean that you have 8 cards in hand.
I mean,
and that your opponent has somehow managed to not kill you with
like 5 creatures or
5
whatever.
to 6 creatures in play.
Who might be of substantial size. That's the other thing, because you're only getting a lot of value out of your Firestorm if they're big.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good against an opponent who has exactly 4 Ravenous Baloths in play. Like, if they have 4 Baloths in play, Firestorm is gain 16. It's 5 Swords to Plowshares, 4 Swords to Plowshares. I think, I mean, I don't know. It's like a cool deck. It's like a cool, like, it's like one of those, like, what if you just did this? And I think, I don't know, 3 Duress, 4 Cabal Therapy is good. This deck should just have a contamination in it.
One contamination.
Just one. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like this deck at all. Although I guess Zombie Infestation, Squee, Kravik, and Horror kind of get... You know, I tried to make decks like this early when I started playing Pre-Modern, and Flint told me that they were never worth it, because if you're going to try to win with the graveyard, you have to try to win fast.
Yeah, the juice is not worth the squeeze.
He said, you know, if you try to win slow, like think about it. Like, if your opponent just like interacts with your squeeze, like, what are you doing? You've got like a couple of 2/2s. Like, that's the payoff. You utilize like 5 cards to make like 2 2/2s. You really kind of need to be making 2/2s every turn for several turns for it to be. And to his credit, Aaron did that. But you know, the opponent's not aiming at your graveyard is the main way you're able to.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, I guess it's just like a, God, when does this deck win? On like turn 7?
It's a very grindy deck. It's like it's just the rock.
But it doesn't have any, like, it just doesn't do anything. It just puts creatures.
It's much more offensive than the rock.
It just
right?
puts creatures into play that are like resilient-ish.
Well, you can go like first turn, you know, Duress Cabal Therapy, your opponent's key card. Second turn, Wild Mongrel, like attack for 5 or something, and then draw 2 extra cards, and your opponent's in position to lose like turn 4 or 5.
The problem with Squee, Kravik, and Horror is like the card you draw isn't very good.
No, you only just draw a card that can be discarded.
It's very contextual, right? And then the first time you activate, you don't get paid. Like the first time you pitch them, you don't get paid. Like you can pitch any card, right? So like they can be not Squee, Kravik, and Horror. The second time you pitch them is when you get paid. So it's like, if you think about this from like, I don't know, I'm trying to understand. So this is like good against, and it's a 3-color mana base with 3 City of Brass, 3 Gemstone Mine, Birds of Paradise tying everything together.
He really should not have been able to beat the burn deck, right? Like, this is the kind of mana base that the burn deck just feasts on.
Yeah,
but I guess the burn deck didn't have pop. Well, he had 2 pop in the sideboard,
and Selden lost to this.
Selden lost to it. Yeah, he lost to getting attacked
because Oath of Druids wasn't on the battlefield.
I don't remember. I mean, maybe it got Ray of Revelation.
Well, it can't get
also
Ray of
Withered
Revelation.
Wretch is pretty good.
It can't get Ray of Revelation by the survival deck.
The survival deck has Ray of Revelation.
Okay, never mind. Okay, I mean, I guess you're 1 Ray of Revelation
and an Answer Vigilante,
7 discard spells and Vigilante. I guess.
And the Withered Wretch is also a pretty good card against the Quiet Speculation Terrorboard deck.
Okay.
I mean, it's not fast.
If you get the one.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this deck should be respected as a player in the metagame. It's earned its spot.
I would like to see it put up an additional result.
Gaia's Cradle makes 0 sense to me in this deck. Like, if you have a lot of creatures, you're probably spending 0 mana to produce them.
Yeah. I mean, you can cradle out like double Arrogant Worm, you know, like that's your big turn.
Who cares?
Yeah. All right. Love Spy Colony again.
All right. Bye. All right. Night, Lanny.